I was reviewing the night audit reports at the front desk when a woman in a fur coat stormed up to the counter, designer luggage, oversized sunglasses despite being indoors, entitled energy radiating off her. "I need the presidential suite, immediately." My front desk manager, Kevin, smiled professionally. "I'm sorry, ma'am, the presidential suite is currently occupied. We have several lovely suites available." "I don't want a suite. I want the presidential suite. Do you know who I am? Do you know who my fiancé is?" Kevin maintained his composure. "Ma'am, regardless of who you are, the presidential suite is occupied. My fiancé owns this hotel. Alexander Rothschild. Call him right now and tell him his fiancé needs the presidential suite. He'll fire you if you don't give me what I want." I looked up from my reports. Alexander Rothschild, my husband, the man I'd been married to for 2 years, the owner of this hotel, was apparently engaged to this woman screaming at my front desk manager. I picked up my phone, texted Alexander. "Darling, there's a woman at the front desk claiming to be your fiancé. She's demanding the presidential suite and threatening to have you fire my staff. You might want to come down here." 3 minutes later, the elevator opened. Alexander stepped out, looked at the woman, looked at me, raised an eyebrow. And what happened next? She never saw it coming. If you've ever witnessed someone claim a relationship they don't have for special treatment, stay with me until the end. Your support means everything to me. Hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments. Have you ever seen someone lie about knowing someone important? Let's talk about it. Now, back to my story. Let me give you some context. My name is Natalie Rothschild. I'm 32 years old, general manager of the Rothschild Grand Hotel in Manhattan, a position I earned through 10 years of hospitality experience, not through marriage. I met Alexander 4 years ago when I was assistant manager at a competing hotel. He stayed there for a business conference. We talked, connected, started dating. I had no idea he owned hotels until our third date. When we got engaged, I made it clear. I wanted to work, wanted my own career, didn't want to be the owner's wife sitting at home doing charity lunches. Alexander respected that. When the GM position opened at his flagship Manhattan property, I interviewed like everyone else, submitted my resume, went through 3 rounds of interviews with the board, got the job on my own merit. We got married 2 years ago. Small ceremony, close friends and family. We kept our marriage relatively private. Alexander's in the papers occasionally for business deals, but we don't do society events. Don't publicize our personal life. Don't make a spectacle of our relationship. Which meant most people didn't know Alexander Rothschild was married, including, apparently, this woman screaming at my front desk. Kevin was trying to de-escalate. "Ma'am, I'm happy to call Mr. Rothschild's office, but I need to inform you that all our presidential suites are currently occupied. We have a beautiful junior suite available." "I don't want a junior suite. I want the suite, the one on the top floor, the one with the terrace and the piano and the champagne. My fiancé told me about it. He promised I could stay there whenever I wanted." "And your name is?" "Veronica Ashford. Ashford. My father owns half of the Upper East Side. My family has stayed at Rothschild hotels for generations. And when I marry Alexander, I'll own this hotel. So you better give me what I want or I'll make sure you're fired before the wedding." I stood up, walked over. "Ms. Ashford, I'm Natalie Rothschild, general manager of this hotel. I couldn't help but overhear you mention you're engaged to Alexander Rothschild." She looked at me, sizing me up, seeing my simple black suit, my lack of designer labels, my professional but unglamorous appearance. "Yes, we've been engaged for 6 months. The wedding is in the spring. Now can you please tell your employee to give me my suite?" I'd be happy to help. But first, I'm curious. When did Alexander propose? "Last June, in Paris, at the Ritz. It was incredibly romantic." "Why are you asking me this?" "Just verifying. Because Alexander Rothschild has been married to me for 2 years. So unless he's a bigamist, your engagement story is fictional." The lobby went silent. Guests nearby stopped talking. Kevin's eyes went wide. Veronica's face went from entitled to shocked to angry in 3 seconds. "You're lying. You're just some hotel manager," Alexander wouldn't marry someone like you. He's a Rothschild. He dates models and socialites, not hotel employees. I pulled out my phone, showed her my lock screen, a photo of Alexander and me, from our wedding, him in a tux, me in a simple white dress, both of us smiling. This is from our wedding, 2 years ago, November 14th, at his family's estate in Connecticut. Would you like to see more photos? I have plenty. She grabbed my phone, stared at the photo, then started scrolling. Wedding photos, honeymoon photos, anniversary dinner photos, 2 years of documented marriage. This can't be real. Alexander told me he wasn't married. He said he was single. He's been dating me for 6 months. The elevator opened again. Alexander stepped out, walked over, looked at Veronica. Ms. Ashford, I believe we need to have a conversation. Veronica spun around. Alexander, finally, your staff is being completely unreasonable. I've been trying to get the presidential suite and they keep telling me it's occupied. Can you please tell them to move whoever's there? I've had a terrible day and I just want to relax. Ms. Ashford, when did we last see each other? Last week, at the charity gala. You said you'd call me this week for dinner. I said I'd have my assistant call your assistant to schedule a meeting, a business meeting, to discuss your family's foundation possibly partnering with Rothschild Hotels for a charity initiative. That's not a dinner date. That's business. But you've been so attentive, so interested in my work. You thought I was romantically interested in you? Yes, you've been to 3 events with me. You introduced me to your colleagues. You sent flowers to my office. I attended charity events where we were both donors. I introduced you to potential business contacts for your foundation, and my assistant sent flowers to thank you for considering our hotel for your foundation's gala. All business, Ms. Ashford, not romance. But you never mentioned a wife, because I don't discuss my personal life with business contacts. My marriage is private. The fact that I didn't announce it to you doesn't mean it doesn't exist. He put his arm around me. This is my wife, Natalie Rothschild. We've been married for 2 years. She's also the general manager of this hotel. And from what I understand, you've been threatening to have her staff fired, claiming to be my fiancé, demanding the presidential suite? Veronica looked between us. Reality was setting in. I didn't know you were married. You never said, I'm not required to announce my marriage to every person I meet at a charity event. But you are required to not impersonate someone's fiancé to get hotel upgrades. I wasn't impersonating. You told my staff I was your fiancé, that you'd own this hotel after our wedding, that I'd fire them if they didn't give you what you wanted. That's fraud, Ms. Ashford, and it's grounds for being banned from all Rothschild properties. Her face went from embarrassed to panicked. Banned? You can't ban me. My family has stayed at your hotels for decades, and they're welcome to continue doing so. But you are not. Someone who lies about being engaged to me, threatens my staff, and attempts to use my name for personal gain, that's not someone I want as a guest. This is ridiculous. I made a mistake. I misunderstood our relationship. Can't we just forget this happened? I spoke up. You didn't just misunderstand. You fabricated an entire engagement, told my staff you'd been engaged for 6 months, that the wedding was in the spring, that you'd own this hotel. Those aren't misunderstandings. Those are calculated lies. I was just trying to get better service. By lying about being engaged to the owner? That's fraud. And threatening to fire my employees? That's harassment. We have security footage of this entire interaction. Audio of you claiming to be Alexander's fiancé. We could press charges. Kevin added quietly, Should I call security, Mrs. Rothschild? I looked at Alexander. He looked at Veronica. Ms. Ashford, you have 2 options. 1, you leave quietly right now. We don't press charges. We don't tell your family why you're banned. You just disappear and never use my name for anything again. 2, we involve the police. Fraud, attempted theft of services, harassment. It becomes public. Your family finds out. The society pages find out. You choose. Veronica grabbed her designer luggage. This is absurd. I'll have you know, my father is on the board of... Your father is on the board of several charities I support. Alexander interrupted, "which is why I'm giving you the option to leave quietly instead of calling the police. But if you mention this incident to anyone, if you try to spin this as us being unreasonable, I'll make sure every hotel in Manhattan knows about your fraud attempt. You'll be banned from the Plaza, the St. Regis, the Pierre, everywhere. Choose wisely." She looked at me, at Alexander, at Kevin, at the guests who'd watched the whole thing. Then she turned and walked out. The doorman held the door. She left without another word. After she was gone, Alexander turned to Kevin. "Are you okay? Did she actually threaten your job?" "Yes, sir, multiple times. Said she'd have you fire me if I didn't give her the presidential suite. I'm sorry you had to deal with that. For the record, the only person who can fire you is Natalie. And she does it based on performance, not because some random woman claims to be my fiancé. You handled that perfectly, stayed professional, didn't escalate. Thank you." Kevin looked relieved. "Thank you, Mr. Rothschild." Alexander looked at me. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine, just amazed at the audacity. She really thought you'd been dating her for 6 months? That you were engaged?" "She reinterpreted business interactions as romance. I was polite at charity events. She decided that meant interest. When I didn't explicitly say I was married, she assumed I was single. Then she invented an engagement that never happened. And decided to use that fake engagement to get luxury hotel suites. Exactly. This isn't the first time someone's tried it. Won't be the last. That's why we have policies. That's why we verify. That's why you're so good at your job. You catch this stuff." Later that evening, after my shift, Alexander and I talked in our apartment. "Do you think I should have mentioned I was married at those charity events?" He shook his head. "I wasn't flirting. I was networking. If every business interaction required me to announce my marriage, I'd spend half my time saying, 'By the way, I'm married.' She chose to interpret professional courtesy as romantic interest. That's on her, not me. She seemed genuinely shocked when I showed her our wedding photos. Because she'd convinced herself of a narrative, that I was single, that we were dating, that we'd get engaged. She built an entire fantasy, and when reality didn't match, she still tried to use the fantasy for personal gain. The presidential suite thing, though, why specifically demand that? Because it's $5,000 a night. It's our most expensive suite. It has a terrace, a grand piano, a full bar, a private chef option. It's what celebrities book. She wanted to feel like a celebrity, like the owner's fiancé, like someone important. Instead, she got banned. And deserved it. You don't lie about being engaged to someone. You don't threaten employees. You don't commit fraud for a hotel room. The next morning, I got a call from Veronica's father, Richard Ashford. "Mrs. Rothschild, I need to speak with you about my daughter." "Mr. Ashford, how can I help you?" "Veronica told me what happened yesterday. She said there was a misunderstanding, that she was banned from your hotel over a simple mistake. I'd like to discuss this." "Did she tell you what the mistake was?" "She said she asked for an upgrade and was told no. Then your husband overreacted and banned her. That doesn't sound like the Rothschild hospitality I've experienced for 20 years. Mr. Ashford, that's not what happened. Your daughter claimed to be engaged to my husband. She told my staff she was his fiancé. She demanded our $5,000 per night presidential suite. She threatened to have my employees fired. She committed fraud to attempt to get free services. All of this is on security footage." Silence. Then, "She said she was engaged to Alexander Rothschild?" "Yes. Claimed they'd been engaged for 6 months. Wedding in the spring. That she'd owned the hotel after the wedding. None of which is true. Alexander has been married to me for 2 years." "I had no idea you were married. Alexander never mentioned—" "He doesn't discuss his personal life in business settings. But that doesn't mean he's single. Your daughter made assumptions, then used those false assumptions to try to defraud my hotel." More silence. "I apologize. I didn't know the full story. Veronica said she was humiliated over a simple request. I didn't realize she'd lied about being engaged to your husband. She also threatened my employees, told them Alexander would fire them if they didn't give her what she wanted. That's harassment. We could have pressed charges. We chose not to, but she is banned. I understand. And again, I apologize. I'll speak with Veronica about her behavior, and I want you to know the Ashford Foundation still values our relationship with Rothschild Hotels. My daughter's actions don't reflect our family's values." "I appreciate that, Mr. Ashford, and we value our relationship with your foundation. This situation is specifically about Veronica's individual actions, not your family as a whole." "Thank you for your discretion. I know you could have made this public. I'm grateful you didn't." After he hung up, Alexander came by my office. "Richard Ashford called you?" "Yes. Veronica told him a very edited version of yesterday. He called to complain. I told him the truth. He apologized." "How edited was her version?" "She said she asked for an upgrade and you overreacted and banned her. Left out the engagement claim, the threats, the fraud attempt." "Of course she did. Did he believe you?" "Once I mentioned the security footage, yes. He apologized. Said her actions don't reflect family values. Wants to maintain the foundation relationship." "Good. We'll work with his foundation, just not with Veronica. She stays banned." 2 weeks later, I got flowers. From Veronica. With a note. "I'm sorry for the misunderstanding. I hope we can move past this. VA." I threw them away. Sent a formal response. "Ms. Ashford, your apology is noted. However, the ban remains in effect. You committed fraud and threatened my employees. Moving past it doesn't change what happened. Please direct any future communication through legal channels. Natalie Rothschild, General Manager." She didn't respond. 6 months later, I was at a charity gala, one of the events where Alexander and I made rare public appearances together, supporting a cause we both cared about. Across the room, I saw Veronica. She saw me, saw Alexander, saw us together. His arm around me, my wedding ring visible. The reality she'd tried to deny now unavoidable. She approached, tentatively. "Mrs. Rothschild, Mr. Rothschild, I wanted to apologize, in person, for what happened, at your hotel. I was out of line. I made assumptions I shouldn't have made. I lied to your staff. I threatened people. It was wrong." I looked at Alexander. He nodded. I responded. "Thank you for the apology. It takes courage to admit you were wrong. I've been in therapy, working on some things. Entitlement, assumptions, creating narratives that aren't real. My father suggested it after our conversation about the hotel incident. I'm glad you're working on yourself. That's important. I don't expect you to lift the ban. I understand I earned it. But I wanted you to know I understand what I did. And I'm sorry, truly sorry." Alexander spoke. "The ban stands, but I appreciate the apology. Growth matters. Keep doing the work." She nodded, walked away, didn't argue, didn't make excuses, just accepted consequences and moved on. After she left, Alexander squeezed my hand. That was unexpected. Therapy works, sometimes, if people actually do the work. Think she'll actually change? I don't know, but at least she's trying. That's more than most people do. Are you glad we didn't press charges? Yes. She learned the lesson anyway. Got banned. Embarrassed in front of her father. Had to face reality. Adding criminal charges wouldn't have taught her anything new, just made her a victim. This way, she has to own it. You're very wise, Mrs. Rothschild. I'm a hotel manager. I deal with entitled people every day. You learn when to press and when to let go, when to call the police and when to just ban them, when to make an example and when to give grace. That's why you're the GM and I just own the place. I laughed. You do more than own it. You care about it, about the people, about doing it right. That's why it works. We make a good team. Yes, we do. 1 year after the incident, we expanded. Alexander opened a new Rothschild property in Los Angeles, offered me the regional director position, overseeing East Coast properties from an executive level. I took it. It was the right next step. Career growth, more responsibility, still earning it, still working for it. At my farewell dinner in Manhattan, Kevin gave a speech. Natalie taught me that being professional doesn't mean being a pushover, that you can be kind and still enforce boundaries, that titles don't matter as much as character. She handled entitled guests, impossible requests, and people claiming to be engaged to her husband, all with grace and strength. We're losing a great GM, but she's going to be an even better regional director. Everyone laughed at the engagement reference. It had become office legend. The woman who claimed to be Alexander's fiancée, who didn't know his actual wife was the hotel manager, who got banned for fraud. After dinner, Alexander and I walked through the hotel. One last tour before I moved to my new office. "Do you remember the day we met?" he asked. "At the competing hotel? You upgraded me to a suite because my original room had a broken AC. You didn't know who I was, didn't care, just fixed the problem." "I remember. You were very gracious about it." I was impressed. Most hotel staff would have made excuses, blamed maintenance, told me to deal with it. You just fixed it, made it right. That's when I knew you were special. And now I manage your hotels. You earn your position every day. You don't manage them because you're my wife. You manage them because you're exceptional at it. Today proved that. Veronica thought being engaged to me was enough for special treatment. You prove every day that actual work matters more than connections. Thank you for never making me feel like the owner's wife, for letting me be the regional director who happens to be married to the owner, not the other way around. You're Natalie Rothschild, hospitality professional, who I'm lucky enough to be married to, in that order. We stood in the lobby, the same lobby where Veronica had screamed, where she'd demanded the presidential suite, where she'd claimed to be Alexander's fiancée while his actual wife stood 10 feet away. "Do you think she learned?" I asked. "Really learned?" "I think she learned that lies have consequences, that entitled behavior gets you banned, not upgraded, that claiming to be someone's fiancé doesn't make it true. Whether she applies those lessons to the rest of her life, that's up to her. And if she shows up at our LA property, claims to be your wife this time?" He laughed. "Then you'll handle it the same way you handled it here, with professionalism, with boundaries, with that perfect mix of grace and steel that makes you so good at your job. I love you. I love you too, Mrs. Rothschild. Now let's go home. You have a regional director position to start tomorrow, and I have a wife to celebrate." Today, I'm regional director of East Coast Rothschild Properties. I oversee 5 hotels, manage 200-plus staff, handle VIP guests, entitled demands, and the occasional person who claims to know the owner. But no one's ever claimed to be engaged to him again. Word got around. The woman who tried, who got banned, who didn't know the wife was the hotel manager. It became a cautionary tale. Don't lie about knowing the owner. His wife runs the place, and she doesn't play. I wear my wedding ring to work now. When I was GM, I kept it simple, professional. Didn't want to be the owner's wife. But as regional director, I've earned my position. The ring doesn't define me, my work does. And when guests ask, "Are you related to Alexander Rothschild?" I smile. "Yes, I'm his wife, and your hotel manager. How can I help you today?" It sets the tone. I'm not just the owner's wife. I'm the person who runs these hotels, the person who makes decisions, the person who will upgrade you if you're kind and ban you if you're fraudulent. Family connection doesn't get you special treatment. Character does. Respect does. Honesty does. Veronica learned that the hard way, in a lobby, in front of guests, by claiming to be engaged to a married man, by threatening employees, by demanding suites she hadn't earned. She got banned. She got humiliated. She got a reality check. And I got a great story about the day someone tried to impersonate my fiancé to my face. I'm Natalie Rothschild. I'm 34 years old. 2 years ago, a woman stormed into my hotel demanding the presidential suite, claimed to be engaged to the owner, threatened my staff, committed fraud. She didn't know the owner was married. To me. The woman standing 10 feet away, the general manager, the person who could ban her with one phone call. I called my husband. "Darling, your fiancé is causing a scene." He came down, exposed her lies, banned her from all properties. She learned that claiming to be someone's fiancé doesn't make it true, that threatening employees has consequences, that fraud gets you banned, not upgraded. And I learned something too, that the best way to handle entitled people is with calm professionalism, clear boundaries, and a willingness to enforce consequences. She's banned for life. We're still married, still running hotels, still teaching entitled people that character matters more than claims. That's the real luxury. Not presidential suites, not engagement rings, but integrity, honesty, earning what you receive. And that's a lesson Veronica learned the hard way. Thank you so much for watching. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Your support truly means the world to me. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. I love reading every single one of them. Each comment inspires me to keep creating stories for you. See you next time.